Hello, everybody. We're about a minute out. We're ready to go for our big show. Let's do it. Doc Rivers continues to time and time again not get it when it comes to getting. Oh, let him play.
You bet one bone to win 19. What site do you use where you can actually bet $1? Because
they let you do 50-cent bets.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Yeah, literally, like he dropped Superman down like the drain, comes out, he's like, God damn it, Superman. I don't know, honey. I don't know where he got that from.
From Los Angeles, this is Dave in the City.
Part of the DITCOW Sports Network.
Now, here's Dave Medina.
Good evening, sports fans, and a pleasure to have you here for the big basketball show. We're here to give you the complete NCAA tournament coverage. Our continuing NCAA tournament coverage this week in the city. And joining us to do so, of course, will be our friend Chris in Syracuse. We'll break down all the brackets. We'll give you a good look at all the matchups, and then we'll give you our predictions for the Final Four, our championship predictions, and then we will give you some sleepers that we like. I know that everybody has their 12s, their 12-5 upsets and their 9-8 upsets and their 10-7 upsets and upsets like that. And maybe we might even call it for a 15-2 upset. It wouldn't be out of the question in this season where we have a lot going on. But I do think that as we were talking about in previous episodes, the one seeds are definitely a cut above everybody else. So to get us going, let's now introduce our guest for tonight. And maybe one other guest, we'll see. But for now, we have one guest for sure, and he is Chris in Syracuse. And welcome to the program, Chris. I'm going to let you unmute and hope that you are doing all right. There he is. How's it going, man?
Doing all right. Good to be here, sir.
Yeah, good to be here as well. We have much to discuss here on this great show, including Doc Rivers once again continuing to time and time again not get it. As demonstrated tonight against this Philadelphia game against Milwaukee. Man, new team, same scenario. But anyway, I'm glad you're doing all right. We got definitely a good time to get into this tournament, and the entire thing is going to take place in Indianapolis tonight. I mean, we this coming weekend and beyond, and that includes the first four. So the first four beginning on Thursday night, which would be tomorrow as we record this program. Definitely a lot of juice there. It's a good setup. I think the idea is just to institute a semi-bubble. It's unique. You get to use more college buildings than you normally do. What's your thought about the setup for this year's tournament?
Well, I think it's, they're doing the best that they can. Obviously, less of a bubble. I think they're calling it a controlled environment. I don't think with that many people, that many teams, you could have a hard bubble like they did in Orlando with the NBA. I think that would be tough, but they're probably just trying to limit, the amount of exposure to outsiders and hopefully get most of this thing going and most of this thing in, which I think they will. Of course, I think we said that about a year ago, and yeah, that was good.
Yeah. Yes, how'd that work out for us, right?
March 11th, and we're saying, it might be a little weird. They might have to adjust, but they'll find a way.
Yeah, so much for that. But this year it looks a little more promising, absolutely. So I'm happy about that. We got in the conference tournament, so we're already a step ahead of where we were a year ago, and I think that's a good sign of things to come. I think we'll see if it holds up. So I guess that's pretty much it. I mean, we can just get right into it. I mean, certainly I can add. Oh, we're going to overtime. We are going to overtime in the NBA. Look at that. It's 4/10 of a second left. I think we're going to go to overtime here. Thank God. Do you have that game on?
No, I don't. I got the NIT on.
Oh, NIT. Okay. Now, the game in the NIT right now is, I thought, Richmond versus who? Toledo?
That
Who's
was
winning?
earlier. They're done. They're done.
Oh, okay.
Come from behind win by the Richmond Spiders.
Ah.
Yep.
Not bad. Not bad. But anyway, before we start, I just was going to ask you to give your thoughts on what the conference tournaments are like. I mean, I thought there was a lot of juice. What'd you think?
There's a ton of juice, especially in the conferences where we looked for juice this year, the Big Ten and the Big 12. Ton of juice in those. The run that Oklahoma State made. Look at that run. That was a hell of a run. And they came up against a rested Texas team, and both they're good teams, but Oklahoma State, the last 3 weeks, it seemed they've just been playing barn burner after barn burner, both Bedlam games. One of them went to overtime. The other one was damn near close to it. They had the Baylor game that they were in for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And then, they had the cardiac games and the 2 cardiac games in the Big 12 tournament. So
Yeah.
I think they were pretty well gassed by the time they got to the finals against a Texas team who got a free ride.
Right. Got an extra gate off, right? Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, I kind of missed, that I was on Oklahoma State. I think I got a little too dependent. I was a little too invested in the emotion of it because you're right. It didn't make sense. They didn't have anything left. And even at that, though, it's funny. They basically cut it down to a 1-possession game, and they still almost at least tied the game after all of that. But the fact is, it was tough to expect them to beat Texas. Texas is a good team. I mean, they have a great defense.
Jericho Sims is unreal.
Yeah, definitely. So, as much as Cade Cunningham can bring to the table, and he really did, and he seems to turn it on in the second half, but there's only so much he can do. So, props to Texas. Good conference win. And, despite there being, COVID issues in that tournament, they definitely earned it. I thought they were a good team all year anyway, so it's a good spot.
Yep, absolutely. Of course, we had that Illinois-Ohio State overtime game that we were melting down about.
Like I said, I'm telling you, Ohio State was just so irritating all tournament long. But look, I don't even know what to say to that. They were up by how many were they up by like a whole lot of points, and then they forced overtime. They still won. So it was just a mess that whole game. So wait, no, check. I'm sorry. I think I'm talking about a different Ohio State game, but yeah, the better team won, wouldn't you say? I mean, I didn't think it was. I thought it was pretty clear by the end of it. I mean, Illinois pretty much handled that game almost the entire way.
Well, Illinois has might be getting a little ahead of things here, but they have the ingredients for a deep run. They have, they have a guard, and they have who's damn good, and they have a darn good big man too. So they definitely have the pieces, the ingredients to go far. Yeah.
No question. Let's see other tournaments. I mean, we covered the big ones. Pac-12 had a lot of juice. A lot of overtime. 2 overtime games, I think. One with Utah, one with UCLA and Oregon State.
How about Oregon State?
Yeah, Oregon State.
Out of nowhere. I mean, we saw them all year, and we thought, this is a okay team. This is a decent team. I don't know if we saw all that coming, and we could segue this into the other kind of quote unquote bid steals.
Mm-hmm.
With Georgetown.
What a run, right?
Oh yeah.
They won it for Pat, right? Like I feel like that's the scenario.
Man gets no respect.
Yeah, the security guards who are not having it with him, right? That's quite a.
Show my credentials. Have to wear the lanyard. Anyway, was there one other one that was kind of considered a bid steal? I know Houston hung on so that there really wouldn't be one in the A10 because they had to, we had to take out Memphis and Cincy.
Yeah. Oh, AAC, you mean? Yeah.
American, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the steal of the steal, if that makes any sense. Because Memphis was in that game, and then they lost that, but then they went on to trash Cincinnati, like you just said, and so it was eventually, Memphis had their chances, but it didn't play out for them. Yeah, what else?
Well, not a big steal, but got to hand it to Georgia Tech. I mean, ACC being down, but still, it's a decent job.
Yeah, I would say I think so. I think they did. I think they did a nice job there. I mean,
they're pretty hot lately. That's a fairly dangerous team right now.
Let me ask you this. Let's stay on that. Like, are they a good team? Because I kept saying, yeah, they got to beat those chumps, and here they are. Like.
Well, Jose Alvarado is a hell of a defender. He will take the ball away from anyone if you're not careful.
Yeah, he was feisty for sure. Like, he was stealing the ball. He had a lot of steals in that. I think he had like 8 steals, 9 steals, a lot of steals. So, I think that is an interesting matchup. Man, we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves here too, but it was a very surprising win. But it just goes to show you can't just walk up there and then expect to, and then you're just going to win automatically. You have to earn it. And the very hard lesson for Florida State that night, you don't just go up there and you think you're talented enough to win. You have to play for it. You have to want it. They didn't want it.
There's several teams. If we had done this show 3 weeks ago, I would have had them in completely different spots.
Yeah.
And how I feel about them. And Florida State's one of them.
Yeah.
I was very high on Florida State for most of this season.
Yeah.
They had a COVID pause. It's like, oh, how are they going to come out of COVID pause? They went and they waxed Louisville by like 50.
Yeah.
Remember that game? They scored over 100. But last few weeks they haven't looked as crisp, not nearly as crisp. And they're not alone. There are several other teams in that same boat. And on the flip side, there's a few teams that maybe look a little better than they did.
Well, I think too you already hit on 2 of them, like Oregon State and Oklahoma State, the 2 OSUs, definitely. And then going back to the other side, Florida State is definitely one of those for me too. Like I wanted to bet them to win the championship. Now I don't want to now. Not after that. They didn't get it done in the big spot. The other team I was thinking that was a real letdown recently, Ohio State, I think, was a big one.
I don't know about Ohio State. Michigan, for me, has been a big letdown the past couple of weeks.
Yeah. They've been fighting injuries, though, Livers was at the very end of that, but you're right. Even before then, they were looking a little shaky. That's true.
2 weeks ago, I probably would have picked them to win the whole damn thing.
Wow.
Yeah, we're not doing that. We're not doing that now.
No. Not now. No.
You want to talk about another team that's really looking shaky and in the tank is Baylor.
Yeah. I tell you what, I kind of saw that one coming though, because after that long pause, it's like
you've always looked for a reason to to crap on Baylor. So what?
That is fair. I mean, I didn't buy into the most of the season, to be fair. Yeah, that's true. Full disclosure. I was just waiting for that to happen.
There no 2020 Dayton, is what you're saying?
Yeah, Dayton. I miss them. That's too bad. I can't believe that. It's too bad they couldn't make another run. I'm bummed. I would like to see them get another shot.
They were okay at best this year.
Yeah.
Just okay.
Yeah.
Top half of the A10.
Yeah. It's a tough A10 though. I mean, so many tough games in the A10 this year. All the way down to the end, you had like VCU and St. Bonaventure just going at it. I mean, that really was some tournament, and you had games going overtime. It was just nobody had it easy there.
I mean, I know they're in the NIT, but Richmond had stretches this year where they looked really good.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody wanted to make a big deal when they beat Kentucky, but that was before we saw that just about anybody had a chance against Kentucky this year.
Yeah, that's kind of right. I remember, and it's kind of the same idea with Kansas when Texas trashed Kansas, and I forget some other team trashed Kansas, and we're thinking, oh man, these are some great wins, and then you realize Kansas just isn't that good, so it wasn't.
I think Kansas has looked better the past little while.
They did well for themselves in the Big 12. Yeah.
They look better than they did.
Yeah. That's fair. I didn't really argue where they were seated. I think I'm looking at the bracket now. They were seated in where 3? Yeah, I thought it was fine. Big 12 is tough. It's like, so you know what, we've all established that the Big 10 is the best conference in college basketball, and the Big 12 is the second best, and it's fairly obvious at this point. So Kansas coming out of there doing as well as they did, I don't think there's a problem with them being third.
Yeah, I think they might be a little overseeded, but I just hope they're healthy. That's what to me that would be the most disappointing thing, to see a good team or a pretty good team go in there and not, because of COVID or whatever, not have everybody there and not have, their best shot at it. I mean, we can segue this into Villanova and what's going on with them. But I mean, injuries have always happened.
Right.
That's not something new. And it's very unfortunate. I feel very, very bad for Gillespie and the team. Kid works hard.
Yeah,
He's
that's why.
a great player. Hope the best for him, but no, it's hard. And now they got a real tough matchup. I know you're on it. You love that matchup.
I love it. You're talking about Winthrop. Yeah. I am surprised that more people haven't gone into it. Maybe they have. I just haven't looked at. Maybe I haven't looked at all the sources. But people. Every 12 seed's been getting some run though. Like, it's not just Winthrop. It's UCSB, which I feel like is the most popular 12 seed pick. But then right after that, Ohio. People love Ohio against. Do I have that right? Maybe it is. No, it's not Ohio. But the other 12 seed people like a lot. I
like Georgetown. I like
Georgetown too, because Colorado's been struggling offensively, and I feel like that matches up well with Georgetown. Like, if Georgetown gets in the low-scoring, rugged rock fight of a game, that favors Georgetown. Like, they can out ugly anybody else in that kind of a game. It's a good game for them. Ohio is a good pick, but they're a 13 seed. That's the only reason I hesitated. And then Winthrop is the one that doesn't really get talked about. Oregon State gets talked about a lot, and for good reason. I think we talked about how they've done just remarkably, and against the spread, us being the degenerates we are, they're great. They're great in that spot. So
when I was thinking about, and call me nuts, just before we went on the air. Now, I haven't looked at a lot of ATS stuff yet. I'm off from work tomorrow. I'm going to try to, immerse myself in that deal tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But I did happen to see Cleveland State, the 15 seed, getting 20 points.
Yeah, I'm looking at it too.
And that's going to be a low-scoring game.
Interesting. Yeah. Houston's defense is pretty good. Yeah, I see that as well.
And their offense can be suspect, and Cleveland State is usually almost always a slow defensive team, or just slow on the pace. So low-scoring game, big number.
I love the big numbers in this first round. I'm looking at them like, if we look at the biggest numbers. And I don't have all of them, but I'll give you some of them. Like, for example, on the first round, Friday, you got Drexel getting 23 against Illinois. Could go either way. I'm not really thinking about that one. But Hartford 26 plus 26 against Baylor. It is a 16 versus a 1, so I don't want to get too crazy about it. But I do think that they could do a backdoor in that scenario. So, like, am I out of my mind on that one?
I think you're out of your mind. I'm not sure if it's something I would do.
But, you probably don't want. Yeah, you wouldn't put your life savings on it.
No.
Yeah.
And it seems like everybody's, rah about the Hartford team and whatever, because it's their first trip, and they had earned their trip last year, or were about to earn their trip last year, and of course it didn't work out, and then they came back and got it again. So
Right.
seems to be rah over them.
Yeah, that seems fair. I don't know. I mean, you probably just do it for fun. Like, I wouldn't really have a real feel. And then you got Gonzaga will be giving at least 20 against whoever the 16th seed is coming out of that Mount St. Mary's. No, is it Mount St. Mary's?
No, that's Norfolk State.
Norfolk State, yeah, Appalachian State, yeah. So they're definitely going to get 20 plus, give 20 plus in that one. Texas Southern is likely, or MSM will get.
If it's the Mountaineers, that could be a little tough. I don't.
Contrasting styles, you think?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Kind of that St. Mary's vibe, right? Yeah, I see that.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah. I think I would do that because you figure that they might even build a big old lead and then they'll just be coasting the rest of the game. So you could probably, if they get that inside, like if that point spread is like 25 or more, they could cover that. I really think so. So those are some of the big ones. And then you mentioned Cleveland State. That's a great call. We just gonna get right into this, I guess. How about Colgate getting 8.5 against Arkansas in their game?
Man, I've liked Arkansas lately. I didn't like that look that they had in the SEC tournament there.
Yeah,
that was a little rough. But and Colgate's pretty good.
yeah, definitely. I feel the same. Like they've had it. I was very impressed by Colgate's offense. It looked really good.
Well, then get ready for points in that game because
yeah, that's what I've been hearing that it should be a lot of points in that one. A lot of points. I'm not sure if I'd bet the over, but I definitely feel like you'll get points. I just don't know exactly how many.
Yeah, because that's gonna be up and down.
Yeah, no doubt.
At one point last week, I don't know where they ended up, but at one point last week, I saw that Colgate was, I don't know if it's because this year broke the system or whatever, but in that net rate ranking or whatever, they were 8th in the nation.
Yeah. That's pretty good. I mean, out of like 300 teams, that's pretty good. I mean, maybe it's a small sample size too, because I know a lot of those teams didn't play a number, they played.
I don't think they played any non-conference games.
Yeah,
I think the Patriot League teams didn't play out of their league at all.
Huh.
I might be wrong on that. I know a couple leagues they just did not play anything that wasn't a conference game.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. So we're looking at it now. Let's go ahead and hone in on this now. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to go through each of these regions, and we have a lot of matchups to break down, and we'll get a little more detailed in the breakdown tonight as we go through each of these. And we're not going to go exactly one by one. Like, for example, Florida State versus UNC Greensboro. I mean, I don't have a lot to say about that one, but there'll be some games that we can hone in on. So let's just start in the – where am I? Let's start with the number 1 team in Gonzaga. We'll go to the West. And – this is absolutely Gonzaga's. This is Gonzaga, not only the regional, but I feel like the whole thing is like Gonzaga's thing to lose. This is the best Gonzaga team I've ever seen. 25 years of watching Gonzaga basketball. This is the best team I've ever seen of them. It's a great team. Rest of this bracket, in the first round, we can look at, Oklahoma, Missouri is 8-9. Creighton, UCSB. Love the Gauchos. That's one of the 12s. Virginia, Ohio, very popular pick, Ohio is, to beat Virginia and their COVID issues. USC versus the winner of Wichita Drake, Kansas Eastern Washington, Oregon VCU, and Iowa versus Grand Canyon. I think Iowa will win. I don't know how convincingly, but they should win. I think that Grand Canyon is interesting, though. It's a very feisty team. They really had a great run there in the WAC, I think it was.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's look at the West and these first round matchups there.
Well, I think you're right. Iowa's going to win Grand Canyon. I mean, any team that's coached by that coach, is going to be a feisty team, but they just don't have what it takes to to beat Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who's gonna match up on the big guy?
Yeah.
No, nobody from the WAC can match up on Garza.
Yeah, the size is just gonna be
Yeah,
insane.
the size and skill. The WAC does not have a player in that conference that can go against Luka Garza. So,
player of the year candidate for much of the season. I thought it went to Jalen Suggs. I'm checking. But either way, Luka Garza is very, very talented at what he does. And, especially within the college level, like he's quite good. Let me see. I'm checking to see who won it this year. Maybe they didn't announce it yet. But anyway, yeah, I agree. That's an easy one. Yeah, as far as the rest of the matchups. Now, do you see some upsets in those two double-digit games? Like UCSB is a popular one. Are you with that one? Ohio too?
I'm not that with Ohio.
Okay.
I just see too much UVA. I think they're still good. I kind of lost track. Does anybody know how many people they're going to be down, or is that
I heard.
out yet?
I don't know, but I heard 3. Let me see.
They might still have enough to get them through a first round game.
Well, it does appear they've got enough to field the team, right? So I'm not. I guess if you're talking about how many, if they can get a team there, I guess that might be enough. So we don't have a complete read on it yet. They're still doing the testing and what have you. We'll see. So that was a good question. I don't exactly have an answer, but good question.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
since I think it's good to mention that Harmon for Oklahoma, he's going to be out because he tested positive. Their second leading scorer.
Well, the only thing that could be worse than that is if Reeves was out. So if that could be
Reeves or Manic, but even then, I mean, Harmon scores more than at least one of them.
Yeah.
But and I haven't liked the way Oklahoma's looked lately, anyway. So haven't been huge on Missouri this year. It's just a team that I haven't been able to figure out. There just several teams that I haven't been able to figure out from any kind of standpoint, whether it be gambling or just in general. But definitely the two at the top of my list that I can't figure out: Missouri and Florida. If I could not figure those teams out to save my life this year.
I do like Missouri, and I definitely like them against Oklahoma.
Yeah, I like them in this matchup too, especially with this news.
So you were down on Florida. We'll get to Florida later. We're going to stay in the West for now.
I don't know if I'd say down. It's just I never know what's going to happen. I never know what it's going to get, You think it's going to go one way, it goes the other. And next time you think it's going to go the other way, and they pull the switcheroo.
Right.
Sometimes their games are in the 150s. Other times they're like 134.
Sure. Well, I mean, over-runners are just impossible to figure out at this stage. Like I got killed trying to bet totals in the conference tournaments. It's not happening. I couldn't figure it out at all. It's just.
Oh yeah. Before we're done, I got to go into what the frickin' sports, what the whole casino was like tonight.
Oh
my God. Could see why these places stay in business.
Like multi-team parlays, like 10 legs and stuff.
People who I've never seen, and I'm pretty sure have never placed a regular sports bet. I don't know if these kids were like 19, 20 years old, about 5 of them, groups of them standing around the kiosk. And like the one group was just finding out that they can't bet New York college teams in New York.
Oh,
like they're like, what? Really? I'm at the kiosk next to them. I'm like, oh, you guys don't do this, do you? And that's, I'm reading an article about how the books really, really like the NCAA tournament, even more so than the Super Bowl, because they tend to win more on the tournament. They say one of them said it's, quote, more of a beer and parlay crowd.
Oh,
whereas, you get some big high rolling bets in the Super Bowl, but sometimes, those are solidly based.
It makes a lot of sense because you see all these guys are parachuting in. They probably don't watch one bounce of college basketball during the regular season, and they're all acting like they're all doing all these crazy bets, and they're thinking, I can't lose. I bet all the top seeds. I'm like, we know better.
And it's the whole place was packed tonight.
Wow.
I don't know if it's just because it's more of a party day and people wanted to get out, and that's something that they can do right now, is go there, or if everyone thinks that they have the luck of the Irish no matter what their background is.
Yeah. It's that kind of time. And yeah, happy St. Patrick's Day, my friend. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But it was definitely more crowded and more of a hassle than it normally would be walking in at 7:00 on a Wednesday night.
Right.
I was like, oh, get me out of here and get me away from these people.
Yeah, definitely. So, the Mongo, but that's what makes, like you said, that's what keeps it in business. And I think you welcome it in the end, but you still want to be around it. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
Wait till
if I could actually see their tickets and see what they're betting and follow it up. Now that to me would be hilarious.
I was just gonna say, like, go over there on Thursday morning and Friday morning and then just see what they're betting. Like, it would be just pure comedy, like the kind of silliness that they get into. So, so where are we? We were on the west.
We're still in the west. We're still in the west. I don't see. This is one region I'm just not seeing a ton of the upsets. Wichita State can be okay, assuming they come out, and I kind of think they will. But I think USC will beat them.
I don't know. You know why? Because Andy Enfield has had many shaky performances over the season with that team, and they've won some of them, they've lost some of them, but their ability to put away a game is not great. Like, they seem to give away a lot of leads.
That is true. How do you feel about Oregon these days? It's another team that's a little hard to figure out. They seem to be trending up, at least in people's opinions.
Yeah.
Recently, but I don't know.
I don't know either. I mean, they got torched by Oregon State, so that really puts a damper in any assessment of them.
Yeah, and I wish I could have seen that game, but I could not see that game because I was at the sports book with Brian that night, and they do not get Pac-12 Network,
stinks,
which is a drag, but it is what it is.
You don't have to worry about that now. I mean, now we're moving
right, exactly. We're all good.
People can actually watch the Pac-12 now, so that's good. But no, but to be fair, I don't think that really tempers my feeling with them. I think they're still going to end up being pretty good. I feel like they'll make the Sweet 16 regardless. It happens. Like, it's a rivalry game. They're not prepared. The other team really has a lot of fire. They're on a roll. I don't think that necessarily means Oregon's any worse. I just think that they just caught a team at a bad time, and I think they'll be fine. Like, I do think they're gonna have a tough time with VCU, but it doesn't mean that they're gonna lose. I think they'll make it. If they make it past there, they could do things. Now, you just heard what I just said. I said they're going to the Sweet 16. So if they're going to the Sweet 16, what is the implication?
That means they're beating Iowa.
Yeah, I think they're gonna beat Iowa if they meet them. I actually think they would beat them. I do. Their defense is very good. Very athletic team. It's really the antithesis of Iowa. I mean, Iowa's good, but I don't know if they really have that kind of backcourt, where they could be a consistent threat to get to the basket. So it'll be interesting. I think Duarte is terrific, and in a big spot, he can make the plays. Garza obviously great, but what happens if you triple team him? You could go to Bohannon, you can go to McCaffrey, but Wieskamp too.
Knock it down.
Yeah, but I think these guys can go back and forth. They can come in, they can draw in, and they can come back out to defend the 3-point shooters as well. Or they could just completely do what Wisconsin did, if you remember, And they just locked down the 3-point line. And they're like, you guys aren't going to get anything. So you have to, it all depends on Garza. And he didn't have a good game either. They did win the game, but it was a real struggle for Iowa in that meeting, the last meeting they did in the regular season. Do you remember?
Yep. My concern with Oregon is on the other end, as if they can score enough.
Yeah, that's true. They had a lot. They are a very low scoring team, much of this season. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I think that's what gets interesting about this kind of a matchup. It's like, on the one hand, Iowa's prolific at scoring, but on the other hand, they're not on defense. Oregon is really good on defense, but their scoring is pretty bad. It's shaky. So how do you handicap that? It's like, it's tough. But I tend to gravitate towards the better defense in that scenario. So it's a bit more of a hunch than anything, but I do think I think Oregon can beat them, and in my bracket, I have them beating them. So if I get it, I'll be way ahead of a lot of people, right? Because I think more people will pick Iowa in that matchup.
Yep, you will be.
Yeah.
I think Kansas is going to win their first round game.
Yeah. Eastern Washington can only do so much. I don't even think they have the size. I think.
But yeah, the Big Sky is 0 for the last 13 in the tournament. I guess.
I didn't know it was that bad, man.
Yeah. 2007.
Yeah. You know what's interesting though? Like, as bad as the Big Sky is.
Montana scared Syracuse at one time. Scared the hell right out of them.
Interesting. Was that back when Hinkle was the coach?
I believe so.
Yeah, wow. How about that? So Wayne Tinkle is now with Oregon State. We'll get to them later because that's in another bracket. But, yeah, that's pretty good. And then Kansas, yeah, they'll beat them. But after that, I mean, any expectation of them winning is at best, 50-50. That's being optimistic. I doubt they win anything after that. Whether it's USC or Wichita or Drake. Maybe Drake is kind of pushing it, but the other two, I feel like they're going to have the advantage.
You might be right.
Yeah, I mean,
even though, if it's USC, you just had some non-complimentary things to say.
Yeah, but, fair. Yeah, I know that. But Evan Mobley is great.
I pick USC here. Mm-hmm. I never like picking the team that I have to pick to come out of the playing game. Because what if I pick Wichita State there? They have to do two things.
Yeah.
There,
I got you, but if it can work for VCU, it can work. So I don't. I mean, I think it can happen, but it's just a lot more work. It's just one extra game you got to win. So that's hard. Like it's hard enough to win. What is it, like 1, 2, 3,
6?
Well, to win a championship, yeah. I was just thinking like to get to the Final Four, but but it's hard to do that. Like it's hard to win 1, 2, 3 games to get to the Final Four, or maybe 4 games to get to the Final Four. To do and to add another game to that is, man, that's just like it's tough.
It's like adding that one more leg to the parlay. How many times
it's
is
just
that?
It's just adding another outcome, which makes it that much tougher. You're right.
Let me add this 5th leg because it'll pay out a little bit more. That's always the one that's going to get you.
Yeah. Going one too many egg rolls and you end up getting in trouble. Like that's just how.
Not the worst thing.
Not the worst thing, kid, but it's not good.
Not good.
All right, so now let's just get it right to it. Who's coming out of there? I say Gonzaga. Do you say Gonzaga too?
Gonzaga, yeah.
Yeah. That's
to me that's probably the chalkiest region I got.
Yeah, it is interesting though. I mean, I wouldn't surprise me if a whole lot of double-digit seeds won their games. I mean, UCSB, Ohio, Wichita/Drake even beating USC would not shock me. Eastern Washington and Kansas, no, but VCU could. And and I'll probably leave it at that. So on to the South. Now we got some interesting juice here because I love Winthrop against Villanova. I mean, I can't guarantee they're going to beat them, but it's going to be tough for Villanova to win that game. I've talked to Tommy about it, and he's not feeling very confident in the Nova, and they're down two of their best players. They're two great guards. I mean, it's a tough ask. It really is. North Carolina, Wisconsin has an 8.
They'll be just fine, Tommy. They'll be just fine.
Nah, even he wouldn't agree with that this time, though. I think Nova is in a tough spot. It really is. So Winthrop, a very, very fast team, good defensive team, but small. That's the only thing. They're not a very big team at all. So that's the only thing that's going to be tricky with that. Because I looked at it too. I looked at the roster. Like, there's really not anybody over 6'9". Like, nobody significant. So that they will be overmatched against any big team. I don't know if Purdue is a big team. I haven't seen enough of them.
Yeah, that Williams kid is an absolute beast.
Yeah. Okay. So that won't be the easiest.
And yeah, they have Williams, and then they have the Edie kid.
Yeah.
He's like over 7 feet tall.
Not the best.
They are. Purdue's looking good, and they have the size. That's for sure.
Well, yeah. Let's see. So we're going into, and Winthrop would have no chance against North Carolina if they ever got that far. And then the rest of this bracket has Purdue against North Texas. You have your fun with that. I'm probably going to skip that game. That's going to be an ugly game. Yeah. Texas Tech, Utah State, Arkansas.
I haven't made a call on that one yet. It's
a tough one. It's almost like the same team playing itself in a lot of ways. Texas Tech and Utah State. It's a tough one. Yeah, I don't know. We'll just see. I think I picked Texas Tech, but I don't necessarily think. I mean, I really don't know. I just did it. I had to pick somebody, so I had to pick them. So I just picked them just by default. Arkansas, Colgate. I feel like this could be sneaky good, this game. Yeah, I really do. I think Colgate could be very interesting here. I mean, we talked about how good their offense is. Arkansas is too. But I do think that of the two, Colgate's more organized with their offense. They have plays, they run screens, they do all those things. Arkansas just takes the ball up, and this is I'm kind of stealing other people's material here, but Arkansas takes the ball, chucks the ball, takes the ball, chucks the ball. I have seen this year. I think when they played against Missouri and other teams in conference play, they definitely are not very. They're not very. They're really loosey goosey with the way that with their shot selection. So it's not my favorite pick, but it should be an exciting game. I don't know. I think they should win. I don't know if they're going to win by a lot, but I think the point spread is just about right. So there's that game. You mentioned Florida. You're not sure how to evaluate them. It's a toughie. And then they got Virginia Tech. They really should beat them, though. Virginia Tech hasn't been that good. Ohio State and Oral Roberts. Ohio State should win, but I honestly wouldn't say. Oral Roberts did have a nice little tournament run as well. So
we should see points in that game, too.
Yeah, you're right. Oral Roberts really big up-tempo team. Big time. Absolutely.
That going back to Florida, Virginia Tech, talk about a tough one to call because I can't figure Florida out. They look up and down. And, of course, you got the guy smacking the guy in the face. That's always fun. It's always a good look.
Yeah, like I said, I mean that's now a team I can't root for. I can't root for them the way I used to because of that. But it's one guy. It was a bad moment, but it's not the whole team. It's just one guy. So what can you do?
Well, then you have Virginia Tech, who's played like 2 games in the last 4 weeks.
Yeah.
How do you?
Well, they'll be well rested. That's the way I can approach that.
Yeah, it won't be in shape.
No, it's not always good. I guess that's a good point, though. Yeah, that's a toughie. I mean, I would pick Florida. They're from the better conference, period. ACC was bad this year. I mean, I think people have been afraid to say that in the mass media. They have been a bad conference. They have just been. They're just not good. I mean, two teams. Wait. 2 teams. Yeah. Well, 2 notable teams, I guess, didn't make it. Louisville and Duke, and North Carolina is in there, and Virginia's in there, but they look shaky. Florida State had a bad finish to their conference run, but even before that, they were having bad performances against Notre Dame and others. So it's not a good conference to me. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with a lot of these. Any other thoughts as far as the South?
I just want to go back to, so are we both calling Baylor to be the first 1 seed out of this thing? Probably.
Let's look. Between the 4 teams, I don't know. I mean, I would have said that before Livers got hurt. I would have absolutely said that. But now with Livers hurt, I feel like it's a wash. It could be either Michigan or Baylor, and it might even happen at the same time, to be honest. So, and if it happens earlier, it's probably just because they play one day earlier than the other. And I'm not even sure of that. I'm going to check that right now. But, yeah, I think I'll still say Baylor. Yeah.
I mean, to me, looking at, the 4 teams up in Baylor's pod there, I think UNC's more together right now than they have been most of the season.
Yeah.
I don't think talent's a huge issue there.
No.
They don't shoot the ball that well from the outside, but if they can get out and they can run, then they have a good shot. And no one seems to know what's up with Baylor right now.
Yeah. That's this is like the worst time to be a Baylor fan is like the tournament. Like they seem to always save their worst for last. So I would trust North Carolina over them in that scenario. Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely would.
And I've been down on Wisconsin most of the year, so I don't see that happening.
Yeah, this is tough for me to visualize Wisconsin beating anybody at this point, but they did. I mean, they've beaten teams. Like who did they beat recently? It wasn't Iowa, was it? No, because Iowa beat them. I think it may have been Rutgers, or maybe I had that reverse. Maybe Rutgers beat them, but
I thought Rutgers beat them.
Yeah, I think Rutgers beat them. That's what happened. Yeah. So that just adds to our point, though. Like we can't really trust this team right now. So yeah, I'm not. Wisconsin, it's a bit of a mess too. And I think Michigan State killed them. I'll check. I will check that. I don't have. Yeah, I don't want to drag down the show, but yeah. So there we have it. There. So you think that Baylor will go down? So what that means is we have to pick someone else to win the South. Who do you have winning the South?
I'm not 100% there yet, but it might be Ohio State.
Ooh. Well, that's interesting because I know you've been down on them too. But
Well, I know I was down on wagering on them because, I mean, they'd win the game, but stuff that they'd put you through.
Yeah. You're right. The good thing about the bracket is you don't have to bet it against the spread. So that's fair.
Or call me crazy. Purdue.
Yeah. Well, Purdue could do it, but you said Ohio State's official pick. Purdue. I would tell you if it was Ohio State, Arkansas, Florida, Purdue, Texas Tech, North Carolina, or let me say, did I say Purdue already? Well, let me say it again. Yeah. Purdue. If any of those teams made the Final Four, I wouldn't be surprised. That's the kind of regional we're talking about here. The only team I feel like I'd be a little surprised if they got in there is actually Baylor, surprisingly enough. But that's just my feeling with Scott Drew. I've never been a fan of his in a big spot. So, I mean, you saw a little bit of that. Like, they got tight I'm trying to remember what the game. Well, certainly against Oklahoma State they did. But they did it again earlier, I think, against West Virginia. And they were And then they did it again against who I forgot, but not big on them in this time of year. So yeah.
Round of applause, Chicago Bulls. Round of applause.
What happened? They won? No.
No. They were up going into the fourth quarter and then got outscored 39-19.
Jeez, it is that kind of night in the NBA. My goodness. It is that kind of night. You have the Cavs beating the Celtics. I told you about the Clippers. They did lose. The Clippers. The Sixers, they lost in overtime to the Bucks, 109-105. But
hey, I still got the under.
You got the under too? Oh, okay.
Looks like the Warriors should hang on and cover the 11 here.
Okay, that's good.
I mean, next we'll throw a ticker tape parade next time Houston wins the game.
Yeah. Wow.
Anyway,
good job out of you latching onto that train when you did. Jeez, rough. Okay, so continuing our coverage. So we've done 2 brackets. Let's go to the next one, and we'll go to the Midwest. And I feel like here, the teams that beat are a little more clear cut. But even there, I don't feel like it's a real lock. So I have Illinois coming out of the Midwest. So just getting that out of the way.
I do too, but they got to. It's that second game that's going to be They can get by that second game.
That's no picnic.
No.
It's either going to be Loyola or Georgia Tech, and that game in itself is a good game. Like Loyola Chicago, one of the better teams all year. I know I've been down on them, but they're a good team. They're a very, very good team. They played very well, and they played tough teams too.
Down on them.
I don't know. I think I'm just thinking, well, this can't last, and then they win the Missouri Valley Conference, and I'm like, no, I think I need to let go of that. Like, they're good. They're a good team. They're a good team. Although you'll appreciate this, I picked Georgia Tech to beat them in the bracket. I'm like the only guy that picked them too.
Yeah,
a lot of people. It's hopeless. But look, I'll be happy if they won. I'm not going to be that kind of. I'm not going to get bitter over it. That's not fair to them. So, I'll take it.
Yeah, they got Sister Jean calling in a favor from up there.
No doubt. I think it's so cool that Sister Jean's in the mix this year.
Yeah,
super cool. So I'm really happy to see that. So look, Loyola is a tough team, and well-coached team. It's tremendous. Georgia Tech could provide an interesting challenge, but I think Loyola should win that game. Tennessee, Oregon State, different story. I don't feel like Tennessee has any expectation. I feel like Oregon State has a real opportunity here. I like them here, but if Tennessee wins, it wouldn't surprise me either. I feel like this really is a 50-50 game.
Tennessee's definitely on that list for me with Florida and Missouri, and I can't figure them out.
Oh, it's tough. And I think what it is that their defense is terrific. They have really, really good length, but when they have a lead and there's like 3 minutes left, they just sit on the ball and they keep trying to drain the clock, and they're not playing their game, and that's what gets them in trouble.
Barnes.
Would you say Bounce?
No, I said Rick Barnes.
Rick Barnes. Yeah, well established. His reputation, Rick Barnes. Absolutely.
It's the big spots, because as a regular season coach and all that, if you believe in that kind of thing, the dude's solid.
Yeah.
But his record speaks for itself. But man, he's come into the tournament with some uber talented teams.
Yeah.
Disappointing at times.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. What am I looking at here? Oh, okay. Yeah, so now what we're looking at is what else? The rest of this. Oh, so Oklahoma State against Liberty. That's one you don't want to overthink. I think Liberty is a good team, but I think Oklahoma State will win. There's not much to say there.
Yeah.
Great team. And Cade Cunningham, it doesn't seem like the kind of team that can deny Cade Cunningham. He's just great. So I think, Liberty's defense is what I'm sure it's fine, but I just don't think. I think it's just going to be too much for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we agree on that. San Diego State, Syracuse. We'll be on different sides of this one, but I will say I think Syracuse will win. But I'm not going to say that with any level of confidence. I just think this could be a very good game, and I feel like it could be a one-possession game late, don't you?
Yeah, it could turn into a rock fight.
Yeah. Yeah, rock fight, absolutely. I mean, what's interesting is that Syracuse's pace of play is actually really high this year. It's unlike most Syracuse teams.
Well, they do like to get out and run if they can, and they always seem to like to do that. But if they don't, then it slows down. Mm-hmm. And also, the more winning Syracuse does, the worse that pace of play is going to look, because James Arthur loves at the end of the games to 5 minutes to go, we're up 10, bounce. And people around here kill him for it. Kill him for it, especially when. Because inevitably the other team makes a run, and sometimes they lose, or even if they don't, if they they take a 12-point lead and ends up a one-possession game, people get all in a tizzy over it. But yeah, it's one thing that people up here, if they're not Boeheim fans, that is one thing that they will really latch on to, is him calling off the Dogs and just trying to shorten the game with 4 and 5 minutes to go.
Right. Well,
but it's kind of an inverse thing. Like I said, the more that they're ahead and the more that they win, the more those last possessions are going to drag out.
It's weird. It's a weird spot. I mean, you kind of wish they wouldn't do it that way, but I can see the logic at least behind it. You see where he's coming from.
He'll tell you he's won doing that more than he's lost doing that.
Yeah, but when has he won and when has he lost? In the tournament, you can't really afford to lose a game like that. But we'll see. We will see.
I mean, it's going to be tough. I mean, Syracuse is actually playing the best that they've played. Mm-hmm. If you're looking at the ACC team, you're going to say that they're bad, when you have to say that Syracuse is one of the ones that's playing the best right now, even though that.
Well, they did have a nice run. I mean, it was like a bunch of games. Who would they beat more recently to get kind of lead into the ACC tournament? But I remember telling you it was a huge win. Might have been Pitt. Might have.
NC State.
Could have been. If I look at their schedule, I'll figure it out. Let's see.
Yeah, they beat NC State.
Oh, in the tournament, yeah. And Virginia, of course, we talked about. No, they lost to Virginia. I'm sorry, but
lost to Virginia on the last second shot.
Buzzer beater. But great game, they held up, which is exactly what they usually needed them to do. Like, they didn't necessarily have to win the game; they just needed to win. They just needed to have a good game against those guys, and they did. So yeah, the game I was looking at was North Carolina. Yeah, that was a great win.
North Carolina, Clemson, and then NC State. They beat NC State 3 times this year.
Yeah. So it was a good. You felt good going into that game, and they won by a lot, 21. 21 point win.
If you take out the two losses at home to Pittsburgh, and the season looks a lot better.
Well, you all know that that's a tough spot, because Pittsburgh and them always seem to be at each other's throats during those games.
In one of those games, Syracuse was up and let them back in. Just
just like you said, we were talking about. Yeah, I saw that game. They were going bounce, bounce, bounce. Yeah. So. And then
it's like they wanted. And once you start doing that, you can't just. It's almost like it's hard. Really, really hard to just turn it back on. Oh shit, we got to score now.
Yeah, it's why I don't like that style, but it happens, Okay. All right, so next we have West Virginia, Morehead State. Now, I said Morehead State, not Murray State, so I don't feel like this will be as big of an issue for West Virginia. They should win. Clemson, Rutgers. A lot of people are on Rutgers, and I'm like, not. I think Rutgers really, really stumbled to the finish line. and their quad one wins are brutal. They just haven't played well against good teams this year. It isn't to say that Clemson necessarily played really well against good teams this year, but I just don't like the scenario for Rutgers. I'm not a little surprised they're even in the tournament, but I guess they won enough games on the front end of the schedule.
Listen, if you're Clemson, you can't be losing to Miami. That's not good. I'm looking at the Clemson schedule. I'm looking at for their good wins. They beat Florida State by 10.
Mm-hmm.
But Virginia, that was a loss. Virginia Tech, a loss, a bad loss. Florida State, the rematch at Florida State, a big loss. Beat Louisville, but Louisville isn't as good as everyone thought they were.
Mm-hmm.
They lost to Duke by 26 in Cameron Indoor. They beat North Carolina. They beat Syracuse. They beat a rematch in Georgia with Georgia Tech. And if you're looking for, they beat Maryland, which isn't bad. Early in the season, I guess you could say, they beat Purdue by 2 points really early in the season. They beat Alabama. They beat Maryland. So I guess if you go back further, the resume looks better. They beat Morehead State, another tournament team. But, they didn't beat anybody. I don't know. I hear what you're saying on Rutgers.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Clemson, I have trouble with as well, but I guess the point here is that neither team is that good. I just figured I'd take the one that came in with a slightly better momentum. But like you said, it's not like Clemson came in on good momentum. It's just better than what Rutgers did. So that's as much as I'm willing to say about that game. Houston, Cleveland State, you said that there's a potential, I don't know if I'd say upset, but you figure Cleveland State might cut this one a little close?
Well, I don't know if less than 20 is close, but I definitely think they could cover 20.
Yeah, I would say that. I think Houston's had a nice season. They had some quality wins against Memphis. They literally beat everybody in the AAC tournament. They beat Memphis the second time in the tournament, in the AAC tournament. So they've done a pretty good job this year. Good team. They play good defense as well. So low scoring team, no doubt. And Cleveland State tries to bring up the pace, but I think against that defense it won't be working for them quite as well. So I figured.
We also saw that, I don't know, maybe I'm overreacting to that Horizon League tournament, which was fantastic.
It was really good. All the overtimes. It was so good. Oh, I was waiting. Oh, I thought you had I
got nothing else.
Okay.
I'll tell you, I'm not really crazy about West Virginia, but they should win that first game at least.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, from that point on, you just don't know. Like, you think, well, they could beat the winner of San Diego State Syracuse, but you're not confident about it. Huggins has his own history. And then against, Houston, let's say Houston, they could. Yeah, exactly.
It's just a weird team.
Yeah. So, if they were to get that far, then you've got Illinois. I would not like their chances against Illinois. Even if it was Oklahoma State, I still wouldn't like their chances because Oklahoma State played him tough. Like, I think that's. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, they beat him. That's right. I think that's right. They did beat him. So, I feel like they could make the Final Four, but they're just going to have a tough path. They would have to do extraordinary things in order to get there. Do things they haven't done yet this season, basically. Because they lost their last 2 games against Oklahoma State. So that alone is a big reason why I wouldn't trust them there. Illinois is a great team, so I would not trust them there either. And then, as you said, even earlier in the tournament, would they be able to comprehend a 2-3 zone? I don't know. I mean, their offense is whatever. Like, I guess they said that they're a decent offense this year, so I think they're pretty good. So we'll see. But I think I already said that. I have Illinois coming out of here. How about you?
Same, Illinois.
Yeah. And the Illinois, very talented team. Io's good. The other guy's good. They got the big center. It's a good team. Definitely a good team. So I think that's gonna. I think that is. That's their regional to lose, and I don't really see anybody get in their way. I feel like if someone's gonna upset it, it'll be someone like Oregon State or Oklahoma State. Those are some pesky teams. They play. Well, one plays good defense. The other one has a near superstar in Cade Cunningham. So either one of those matchups would be really, really challenging for them. But and you'd get a really good game. So I'm looking forward to that Elite Eight. Sweet 16 if they get that far. So we'll see. That would be a real. I think, and I didn't even mention Tennessee. So if Tennessee got there, I mean, maybe it would be a good game, but I'm sure too. But we know the Rick Barnes factor is just going to be too much for Tennessee. So, quick question.
No.
Hand wave. Yeah. I was gonna say, like, do you see Tennessee making the Sweet 16?
Nope.
No.
Thanks
Yeah.
for the call.
Yeah, fingered, hand wave. Yeah.
Thanks for the call.
Thanks for the call. How far did they go? Who's beating them?
Tennessee.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State.
Okay, so that means they make it to the second round in Oklahoma State.
Maybe. I might. I'm up in the air on that one, but that's as far as they'll get.
Yeah.
That's
That
it.
I feel confident about.
Yeah.
Like, they will not advance past the first weekend. That I feel really good about. I'm really good about that. Now, the question for me is, do they even get past the first game? I say no. I think that Oregon State, who have covered the spread against a lot of teams all year long, in conference, out of conference, they're going to be right there. And if that's the case, you know what happens in a close game with Tennessee. They will get very, very tight. And so I would favor Oregon State in that scenario. So I feel like the chances are very good here for the Beavers.
What's the number in that game?
Great question. It is, last I checked, of course, this will change with each day, 7.5. And I love that. 7.5 points for Oregon State.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I would do it.
Yep.
Yeah. That's not even a question. I'm in on that one. Okay, so then we look ahead toward what else? The East, and that's the last of our regionals. Michigan, you're higher on them than me, but having said that, Michigan's still got a very deep roster. So even without Livers, they can win a couple of games here. To me, the toughest matchup for Michigan in the early going is going to be whoever comes out of the LSU St. Bonaventure game. That is going to be tough. That is going to be very, very tough. So if you beat
Points
either
in
of those,
that game too.
one more time.
So you'll see points in that game too.
Well, if it's LSU, absolutely. You see so many points. Yeah. But even St. Bonnie's like the same thing. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So it'll be in that kind of a game, you could flip a coin sometimes, because with that much scoring, there'll be a lot of points, and it'll probably be close, and we'll have free throws deciding it, and that means it could go either way. So I just think that'll be a very interesting matchup. You're big on Georgetown. I am too. I love Georgetown.
I'm never big on Georgetown over here.
I know,
it's
but
not a Georgetown show. But yeah. For what
you gotta give it to them though. They
purposes,
played great. They've been tremendous. They played with a lot of heart. They crushed some of those teams, and they've shut it down on the defensive end. It's really good. So I'm happy for them. And Colorado, people out there will be ready to say terrible job out of the Colorado Buffaloes at the end of it, we think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so. I do think that if Colorado wins, it's not going to shock anybody.
No, it'll be a big game out of McKinley Wright is what it's going to be.
Yeah, I think that's a good feel right there. Florida State, UNC Greensboro, I don't have a clue. I will let you take that one. I have no idea. I don't know.
Florida State, not that the Spartans are a bad team, because they're not. Actually pretty good, but probably a little more defensive than, FSU plays good defense too, but I don't know. You might want to look at the over under in that one just to scout that out. But
I don't have that number on me. Let me see if I can get it. The over under. While we do that, I want to get your feeling of the first four. We're not going to waste our time with the two 16 seed games, which is a disgrace. This has been talked about already, but the 16 should not play each other. That's unfair. But if we go to the other two games, Drake versus...
It's all about the money and the ratings. You get two more power teams in.
Yeah,
there's one loudmouth down at the book. Loudmouth, he's a decent guy, I think. If you remember, I was complaining about him that one time when he was cheering every basket Seton Hall made when I had the other way a month or so ago. But I was talking to him, sitting next to him a few times. He's a little loud, but he's all right. And knows what he's talking about, too. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, he was going on and on and on about, some of these mediocre SEC, ACC, Big 12, Big 10 teams getting over like a Belmont, who went like 26-4 and whatnot. But it's
what
not
does that matter? What the record of the regular season was in that scenario? Like, right. It's such an apple to an orange in that spot. I mean,
is Belmont good? Yeah. But I'm like, why are we wasting time on this argument? It's always been this way, and it's not changing anytime soon. So why waste your breath?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's is Belmont good? I don't know. I mean, they're not in the tournament, so I guess they're not that good. So, but let me give you the over/under for the UNC Greensboro Florida State game. It is 145. 145.
Might consider going low on that.
I don't know. It's tough. I need 5 more points to really.
I gotta take a look at some of the trends and metrics. Like I said, I'll start getting going on that tomorrow.
Yeah, ready. So let's go to the first notable first 4 game. So it goes back to the West bracket, Wichita Drake, and we did not make a call in that specific game, but we can do so here. So between the two, which side do you like?
I think I like the Shockers. I think they finished better. Decent run in the AAC tournament versus a Drake team that just hasn't looked the same since they came back from their COVID recess.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, that's true. And
they were dominant at the beginning of the year. What were 14-0, 15-0, 17-0, something like that. They went a long time without losing a game.
It's a lot like Baylor. A lot like Baylor. I'm not sure if they were killing teams like Baylor were, but that is a lot like Baylor.
You ask who was it there that they Southern Illinois, ask them. They slaughtered them on back-to-back nights.
Oh, that's right. Boy, I was on that train for a while too, the Southern Illinois train. No, I was off that quickly. They lost so much steam that year, and after that, they tanked practically. Right, like that was a disaster.
I was watching the one of them, and it's like oh my goodness, what?
Oh yeah. You kind of start feeling bad for him after a while. It's like, man, Salukis, what are you doing? Jeez. Yeah. So no. But I will take Drake, though. I think they were tough. They obviously were good enough to make the championship round against Loyola Chicago, and they were in the game. So I thought that would be a very pesky matchup. It was, but I don't think they covered the spread. I still think that was a good game. And so I'll take Drake, but again, that doesn't mean that they're going to do it. It's only a 2-point spread. So it's like, I don't think there's really a wrong answer with that game. It's going to be a really good game.
No, yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah. So looking forward to that. And then later, the big matchup, which is not pretty late. It's actually going to be on close to 10, like around 10 o'clock in the East. I guess it doesn't hurt Michigan State fans too much because that'll be 9 o'clock, but you'd think maybe they put that one on earlier, but I guess that's just how the scheduling works out. This is also one of the byproducts of putting all the first four into one night, because usually those are 2 nights. You have 2 nights. You have like a Sheeran game in the beginning, and then you have the better game for prime time, for deeper prime time.
Also, it was like the first 2 games were for, they play the first 2 games on Tuesday, and those would be the Thursday teams, and the next 2 games on Wednesday were the Friday teams, because they had to go from Dayton to wherever they were.
Right.
Wherever they were going.
Right, but since they're all kind of in the same area this year, it's not as
there's no travel.
Right, not as essential. Good point. So the final of all these games is Michigan State UCLA. In the beginning, I was on UCLA, but I looked at some recent trends. UCLA is 2-10 against the spread since January 16th, and in that same time period, Michigan State against the spread was significantly better. They were just above 500, and I think they officially, the number was, let me see, it was 6-5, yeah. So clear edge to me for Michigan State. I don't think you want to overthink this one either. So what do you think about that game?
I think Michigan State, the only overthinking I'm doing is, are we giving too much to the Izzo factor? I don't know.
Right.
I mean, we've seen them lose was that a 15 over or 2? I believe it was, wasn't it? Was that the last 15 over or 2? When they got
give me a sec. It was. I think so. I think Middle Tennessee State beat them.
Yes.
And
but I was that the last 15 too. It might have been.
Yeah, because I was thinking it's between that or the Missouri one. I think it was. Well, no, Missouri and Duke went down the same day, but that was Michigan State was definitely after that. Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely after that, because it was like around 2014.
Yeah.
So, no, actually, I'm seeing here it's 2016. So they were the last one. And then before that, a team that you will love forever, Florida Gulf Coast, Dunk City, against Georgetown.
Over Georgetown, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember I was out somewhere. What was happening at that game? I had to work late. It was a Friday. It was the Friday. I had to work late. And of course, this all happens around my birthday. And I forget if it was my birthday that day or it just happened. But my mom showed up where I worked. And she's like, "You're out in 10 minutes, right?" I said, "Yeah." She's like, "Well, come on. We're going over across the street. We're getting you a dinner for your birthday or whatever." And that game was the one on at the time. And I'm sitting there eating and I'm watching this game and I'm going, this isn't going to happen.
It's wild, man.
Yeah, it was not as wild as the UMBC over Virginia thing, because that was, yeah.
That's something we didn't think we would ever see. 16 over 1.
And no one had seen it before, so. And it wasn't like a fluke. It wasn't a buzzer beater. It wasn't a half-court heave. It was
big
the
crush.
systematic taking apart of a 1 seed.
Yep. That was, as they say, a beat down. It was a beat down for sure. Yeah. It was. Yeah, that was something else, wasn't it? Like that. What are we looking at? So. And then I think similarly, Florida Gulf Coast in their second game also crushed whoever. Like they just destroyed the next team.
Yeah, and I remember the whole thing was like, oh, now we have to get the funds and travel party together to go somewhere else the next weekend. We weren't quite prepared.
Yeah, that was some night. They were dunking all over the place. I mean, they just crushed that team. Forgot who it was. Funny, but. I'll never forget that run. That was a great run. And Andy Enfield came to USC, and he's been there ever since. He's actually still there. He's been there a long time, if you think about it.
They showed how the other night they showed how many seasons he'd been there, and I was like, wow,
It
really?
really sneaks up on you.
Yeah.
And I don't see any. Here comes a mush. I don't see any indication of him leaving after this season or anything else. I think he's here to stay because the expectations for USC are never going to be on the level of UCLA. So like
No.
if they can make it with Sweet 16 once in a while, that's pretty much where they want to be. Like the focus is never on basketball over there, and it's a good spot. And I think he's got people to the NBA. He's going to do it again with Evan Mobley. I mean, it's a fun team to watch. Yeah, certainly he's not the best at closing games when it's close and tight and whatever against good teams, but it's a very watchable product. It's a very interesting team, and I'm excited. I'm happy about that. I think, I know we make the joke about just fine isn't good enough, but for USC basketball, yeah, it is, because they are very relevant compared to what they used to be. So I'm happy about that. I just hope they can win one game. Like, if they could just beat that Wichita Drake winner, I think that would, to me, that's a success. Whatever they do after that, I think we'll see. But here would be a really fun parlay. So the three teams I root for throughout the season, I'm a Mike 44. Like, I root for USC, UCSB, and San Diego State to get all three of them. So what would a money line of all three of them to win their respective games be? I don't know yet because I don't think they have money lines yet for these games, but I think that would be quite an interesting parlay. I'd have to be way ahead to do this, but if they did, like all of them just to win one game, I don't think it's completely out of the question. The UCSB one clearly would be the toughest of the three, right? But
hey, you know what else is out there is the all OSU parlay. All
OSU parlay. That's a fun one. Let me see if I can conjure that up now. Hold on a second. I'm gonna try this. It's a fun idea.
I'd take the points with Oregon State though.
No, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna. I mean, officially, that's what you. Or maybe you just do that with all of them, right? So like you. Now I don't know what the problem with the USC game is that because there's a playing game in front of it, I don't know what the point spread is yet, and that's an important factor because if USC, what's the number for you? Like, how low would the number have to be for you to lay the points with USC? So what do you think about that? For me, it can't be more than 3.
I was gonna say 4.
Yeah, 4 is that's right about where my threshold is. So if they're getting 4.5, if they're giving 4.5 or 5,
and watch that be the line too, 4.5.
It's totally, you're right. It's Vegas and then us too, because like we totally
in the desert.
So we being the degenerates we are, we're like, yeah, it's exactly. I feel like because we're like, oh, this is the number. That's totally going to be the number. It's going to be like 4. And so they're just going to make that difficult. I'm like, well.
It's like Ricky last night at the book. He sits down at the table I'm sitting there. He's like, what you got tonight, buddy? I go, well, I kind of like this. I kind of like that. I heard some people talking, and I kind of agree. The Jazz Celtics over, which, of course, did not come in. But he goes, oh, what's that got to be? I haven't looked yet. What, 130, 128, somewhere in there? I'm like, 129.5.
Wow. 129.5, right on it. So I'm trying to find all these games. Like, let's see. I think we can mock the OSU parlay. I'm just trying to find it. I will use points for Oregon State because I feel like that's the smart thing to do. So Oklahoma State just to win, -360. Oregon State to cover, +8 at regular odds. And no, if you get them to win, though, that'd be something, wouldn't it? Well,
that'll be a hell of a ticket.
I'll do both. Now, Ohio State to cover 16, I don't like, so I'm just gonna do the money line.
Well, what is it? It's
-2,100, so I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think you're gonna. I don't even know if there's a point in doing that, but No, because like if they lose, then you're screwed. Like
Yeah.
for what, 10 more cents? It's not worth it. So we'll leave them out of that. But the other two, if you go Oregon State points and Oklahoma State to win, it's plus 139. So 100 to win 139. It's pretty good. If you get Oregon State to win the game or Oklahoma State to win the game, it's plus 398. 398.
Yeah.
That's a lot of cabbage. So that's interesting.
What if you just ended up giving how many points is
It's a lot. 16 for Ohio State.
No, the Pokes.
Oh, the Pokes. It is 7, which is not outrageous. Not outrageous.
No, it's not.
So I would do that. Let's say you did that, and then for Oregon State, you just take the points on them. So it's plus 250. Okay, so that seems worth it. A very decent chance of both of those taking place. Yeah, that seems worth it. So Oregon State and Oklahoma State gets it done. Yeah.
1 minute to go in a 1-point game in the NIT here.
Oh, we got.
Well, we got Western Kentucky up 1, and they are getting 2, which is important. And it is St. Mary's ball. And
are you going? Wait, you had faded them last time in the Conference USA Championship, right? This is interesting. I'm looking at it here.
And now it's a 2-point Gales lead.
Just like that.
Western Kentucky has led this entire game until now.
Well, that sounds way too familiar. It sounds like North Texas.
Does it? Yeah. North Texas was in that game. This was like double digits in the second half type shit, or close to it.
Oh no!
It was in that 9 to 10 point range from a lot of.
So, are they pulling a Doc Rivers?
Well, it was, but they just had a big slam by Bassie, and now it is tied. And no, there is time on the shot clock. So, steal by the red team. This is good. We're going to take a shot here. Driving, block. Ooh. They're going to call the block on that drive with 3.3 to go.
Oh, boy. Yay.
Ooh. I want to see it again, but I think it was probably a good call.
Yeah. That's funny.
Well, it's good. It's good here. Let's see. Oh, yeah, that's a foul. That's a foul all day. Good job taking it to the hoop and not, settling for some stupid-ass step-back 3 at the buzzer. That kills me. That kills Brian even more. Greatest play in basketball, the step-back 3 at the buzzer.
Yeah, that's and then you're down 1-2 when you do that, or even if you're tied, that's just ridiculous. That's infuriating. It is.
Just go to the basket. This can happen.
The foul is very much in play in this scenario.
Shots.
That's it's crazy. No, but we'll see if they hang on to that.
Oh, it's good.
Hey, we didn't talk about Alabama in that East bracket. That's a fun team. What do you think?
You know what? I could see them coming out of that bracket.
Yeah.
I really could.
I like them here.
They have to hit those threes, but they're a fun team that go up and down and the whole thing. He made both of them. 3.3 with a 2-point lead. I can't lose right now. And Randy Bennett's going to take a timeout.
Okay.
But they got to go the length of the floor down 2 with 3.3. So, I mean, since it's Western Kentucky, I could see him giving up a 3 to win this thing or to lose this thing, but that really wouldn't break my heart.
There we go. Hello, guy. Hello, buddy.
And this guy here, you can't do anything. He's always got to have the attention.
What's his name?
Wyatt.
Hello, Wyatt. Nice to meet you, little guy. Let me meet you, big guy.
Yeah, he's a big guy. He's a big boy.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I could see Bama coming out of that region. I think I'm going to take them to come out of that region. If they go real cold from 3, that's a risk you're taking.
Yeah.
But we've seen teams get hot from 3 and see them carry it a long way in this thing.
Yeah, actually, if you think about it. Oh, never mind. If you think if you think about it, um, it's I like their defense, and they've got some good guard play. I mean, their backcourt's great. Shackelford, I think can get really hot from time to time. So he's a fun watch. Out of this regional, I have Texas coming out of there, and
That would be maybe my other choice, and I'll decide by tomorrow on that. But Texas, I obviously was quite happy with the other day. But you got a great player in Jericho Sims. They got a great story in Andrew Jones. The coach is pretty good.
Shaka's smart. Now with hair.
Yes, it might be a Samson effect too, because people were kind of down on him.
Ah.
And he grows the hair, and now he's got something going. But I always thought he was a good coach. I couldn't fathom him going somewhere and failing, even though it might have taken a little while. But that's sometimes why you have to have patience with a coach. I forgot who it was, one of these teams or whatever, and it's like how much patience they had to have, and then they got there. I think it was one of the smaller teams here. But then, you look here, and the 3 to win, and it's short off the backboard. Western Kentucky wins.
There you go. Nice cover there. Well done. Pretty cool.
And if you want to talk about people who don't have patience, like apparently Utah think that they're some kind of...
I don't know what they were thinking.
I think they think they're some kind of special program. Brian and I were like, yeah, you're making a mistake here.
I was shocked. I was legitimately shocked.
Yes.
Kristoviak has been nothing but solid with Utah for years and years and years, and maybe they slipped a little bit this year, but I mean, really, guys? Like, he's taking the most out of not a lot. We're getting the most out of it.
And what are your expectations for Utah basketball? Somebody's got to tell me. And whatever expectations you have, it's because of Larry Kristoviak.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a real surprise to me. It is. Like I saw it on the news. I'm like, what are they doing? Like I just can't get over that one.
Unless they're going to really try to get Craig Smith, and they think Craig Smith's the real deal.
Oh, I mean, time will tell. Time will tell. That's my comments on that. All right, so be it, right? So, now let's get into the remainder of the predictions, and it really amounts to a couple.
How entertaining was he in that one interview though? Because he was Craig Smith. I mean, he's got fire, that's for sure. He's done a good job. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, I hadn't even freaking heard of Utah State before him, so.
Well, I think the thing. Wait, so Utah State. That's well, you're talking about what is Craig Smith the real deal? We're gonna find out in a couple days. Like, can they beat Texas Tech?
Right.
Yeah, we'll have a very, very quick answer to that question. If they get blown out, I don't think Craig Smith is the real deal. To be honest, that should be a winnable game for Utah State. I don't really. They cannot get blown out.
No. Well, Utah State's a pretty good team,
and the defense is on point a lot of the time. I mean, I don't know, not all the time, but yeah. So we will see on that. I think it. Well, I mean, the two of us, what we're rooting for. We'll be rooting for Utah State. That's easy. It's not even a debate. I think that game's a pickup.
I mean that Kada kid, he had 9 blocks the other night.
I remember that. It's against UNLV and so on, and then later against who was it? But no, 9 blocks is not nothing. I mean, I thought he got away with some contact during that game, but no, he was great. Even the game after, he was great too. So he's able to block shots from no matter who the opponent is. He's very good.
Double.
Yeah,
he's had like 8 straight double doubles or something.
Mm-hmm. No, I get it. I get it. Totally. That's interesting. Guess we'll see. So, at any rate, what
I was
else?
wrong about the Clippers tonight.
Wait, what was that?
I said I was wrong about the Clippers tonight.
Uh-oh. They losing? Oh, they're losing. Oh.
Um,
They're not just losing, they're losing. Yeah.
13 points in the third quarter. It's an NBA game. It's not over yet.
No, you're right. I mean, just like I said with the Philadelphia game, I mean, it's definitely not over. But it's tricky because this is a rematch game. They just played the same two teams played like 2 days ago. So it's very tricky when you have them play again so soon after they just played. That's really tough it's tough for me to evaluate a game like that. I don't like to do it. In fact, in the NHL the same way. Like I don't like to go after teams that just played against each other. Like I don't know. Like teams will make adjustments, right?
Man, I will say I'm glad that I missed a lot of the Horizon League games and MAC games and CUSA games where they played Friday and then Saturday, the same team in the same place.
Yeah.
Because I would work with me working on Saturdays is I would have to get my bets in the early slate stuff on Friday night. And those games would have been ending at, 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and the lines were not set. The odds were not set. And those would be like 4 and 5 o'clock games the next day.
Mm-hmm.
I would, getting out of work, I couldn't get down there to get in on the action until about 5:30. So there'd be a handful of games, and they were all MAC, Horizon, Conference USA, Sun Belt, stuff like that, the leagues that were doing that deal. And but you're right, it's hard to gauge what's going to happen. You see a team get rocked one night, and it's like, oh yeah, they'll lose by double digits again. How do you come back from a shellacking like that? And the next game they either win or it's super close. It's a one possession game.
Oh yeah. That's right. Yeah. So
let him up, or I think a lot of it, especially in the colleges, they're kids and they're inconsistent and the whole deal.
Yeah. It's not a surprise, and it's not even a disappointment. It's almost expected. Like you figure that no two teams play exactly the same way all the time. It's more liable to happen in the pros, and even in the pros it doesn't happen. Otherwise, a 7-game series in the NBA would just be a sweep every time if that was true. But that's not true, because teams will respond and react, and then teams will try to combat that, and they'll try to react within the game. And so the more you get to play another team, the more familiar you will be with that team, and so you can usually punch back in the second game or the third game or whatever it may be. So, those rematch games are tough. Like, that's why I'm never sure. Although I did remember, I think, wasn't Southern Illinois that team I was telling you about where, like, every single time in the second game of one of those back-to-back games, this is not the Horizon League or the MAC, this is actually the MVC, but man, almost every single time they had a rematch game, they played worse in the second game than the first game. Every single time. Like they would win by 10 and they win by like 2. Or they would win by 10 or they lose by 10. Like they never did better in the second game than they did in the first game. And I just thought that was a very interesting trend.
I think you're right on.
Yeah. So teams react to it differently too. So it's another element of it. It's just hard to really evaluate. So, but at least with this situation, it's a one and done. So, Final Four, just to recap, I think you picked Gonzaga.
Yep.
You didn't pick Baylor, I know that. You took.
Nope.
Now, you said Purdue. I don't know if you were joking, so I'm going to say you picked Ohio State. Is it Ohio State?
No, I'm gonna go with Purdue.
Oh, Purdue. That is bold. That is bold. But you know what? If there's a time for bold, this is the time for bold, because I feel like we could really have a lot of surprises this year in the tournament. Okay, Midwest, you're going Illinois?
Yes,
Okay.
Illinois.
See, I don't even have to look at the paper. I already knew that. I know for me, I know it's Illinois. And then from the East, you said Bama?
Yes, I'm saying Bama.
Okay, so that's the Final Four for Chris and Syracuse. My Final Four, Gonzaga. I have Arkansas, and I hate it. I really do, but I'm just going to stay with it. I have Illinois. I love that. And then from the East, I'm going to go Texas and Shaka Smart because he's done it before at VCU. So those are my Final Four. So now let's get into the Final Four. Who will be the winners of the two semifinal games?
Gonzaga and Illinois.
All right. And I have the exact same two, Gonzaga and Illinois as well. So it sets up a great championship game, Gonzaga versus Illinois. And the winner of the national championship is
Gonzaga. I know everyone's on it. I know. But if there's ever been a clear dominant Gonzaga team, as you opened with, this is it.
Yeah.
I said. The thing is, I kind of thought that way last year too. And it's kind of like if Mark Few isn't going to win with this team, what's it going to be?
Yeah, great question.
When's it going to be?
If he can't do it with this team, when is he ever going to do it? This is as good a team as he's ever had. Legit NBA talent on this team.
You're ever gonna get there too?
Yeah. This does have this is the last shot feel to it, doesn't it?
I don't know about that. I don't think he's going anywhere. I don't think they're going to be bad ever again. It's just everything coming together this year, and they're a team that does legitimately recruit now, lottery level and NBA and lottery level talent, like a Suggs and a Kispert and those kind of guys, and they can get the one and dones. But as we've seen with Kentucky and Duke at times, the one and done deal, sometimes it's lightning in a bottle, and other times it just never comes together.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would be really happy if they won. Definitely. I'm actually. There have been years where I've been rooting against them because I feel like they're overrated. They're not overrated. This is a great team. They've beaten great teams already. They're gonna do. I'm sorry.
No, I was just thinking the anti-Mark Few. Is that Tommy? Is that Tommy? That's.
No, I think it's Andy who's anti-Mark Few. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like Andy though.
But you gotta admit, this is a great team, and everybody admits that this year. Everybody. But despite that, I'm gonna go with Illinois. I think Io is just amazing. This is a good team too, and they come from a great conference, and they've been battle tested. They've had a lot of close games. They've won a lot of close games. They've been in all the tough spots, and they've come out of them ahead a lot of the time. So it'll be a great game. It's gonna be a close game, but I'm gonna pick Illinois. Yeah. But
not really gonna argue with it on that one. I mean,
it's gonna be
by
great.
the time both teams, it's that's the thing about this though. You get there, it's a one-game series.
Yeah. Winner take all. It's like basically like every game's a game 7. You get to play like 5 game 7s or something like that. So it's like.
Yeah.
The only one that's not a game 7 is that first round for a lot of the teams. Some of the teams, it's still a game 7. You get they're close matchups, like 8-9s. It's like a game 7 out of the box. So but for all the top seeds, or nearly top seeds, you have like an easy game, and then you get a whole lot of like game 7s, game 7, game 7, game 7. So imagine that many. Because every game's an elimination game, so it's like that kind of intensity. Every single time, every single round, and there is no fallback plan. There is no chance to make up the game. You can't wait for game 3 to go back home. This is the game. If you don't win the game, you're going home. So that's the beauty of this tournament. And this has been fun. I want to thank you for previewing this with me. Do you have any final thoughts before log off tonight?
Only that I hope we can all, no matter who wins, no matter how bad your bracket is, no matter how much money you lose, that you can enjoy having a tournament, because we all know now what it feels like to not have this, and it sucks.
Yeah, it did.
So, I was even thinking about that kind of thing this past weekend with the conference tournaments. Even though, it's still there, it's still a problem, and it still rears its ugly head and reminds us that it's there. But, we've kind of adapted, we've kind of, worked around things and worked through things. We're quite adaptive creatures, and I'm looking forward to the next couple weeks, and I hope everybody else is too.
Yeah, thank you. That's very well said, Chris. And I extend the same to all of you listening tonight and watching tonight on YouTube. We hope you've enjoyed this preview, and good luck to all your brackets. And, of course, Chris, good luck to your bracket as well, along with all the spread bets. Should be a good time. Thanks again, man. This is fun. This was fun. Thank you so much for joining me.
We'll get together again sometime.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It would be good to do that second round recap. So would you be down for that next week?
I think so.
Okay. We'll get in touch. We'll be in touch. Sounds good. Chris, thanks again. Good luck. And here's to a great tournament.
Yep.
Oh, you got some racing on too at the background? I hear party music.
You know what? I'm on the NHL scoreboard for ESPN, and there's music coming from somewhere, and I don't know.
I know what that is. So you probably have it on a half screen. If you expand the window, what you're listening to is music from highlights on a video player, but you have to maximize the window to see that. It is extremely annoying. I have to mute my tab.
I can't even find where it's coming from, man.
You won't see it. You have to stretch the window all the way to the end. You have to bring it all the way. You have to really make it wide, and then you'll see this little video thing pop up.
That's what it sounds like. I know I was full screen, and I still couldn't.
Oh, still not showing up? I don't know.
But that's exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah.
There's some highlight playing with no narration and just video.
Yeah, because they don't have the rights to broadcast the audio of the game, so they only show you the video of the game, and then they do some generic music in the back. So that's what you're hearing.
Gotcha.
It's incredibly irritating, I have to say, because I can't keep that screen up. I have to mute my computer or mute the tab in order to have that up. So it's just, yeah. Okay, so that at least figured out what that was. So anyway, just to repeat, I agree. Enjoy, good luck, and we'll be in touch. Chris, thanks so much.
Yep.
Later. Take it easy, man. That's Chris in Syracuse, and that's our show tonight. Good stuff. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. This has been a good preview. Good luck, everybody, to your brackets as well, and we invite you to stay with us with continuing coverage. We're going to keep going with this, I think, for the next round at least, and so we should be back next week for more on the NCAA men's basketball tournament. Meanwhile, I wish you good night. Thank you for tuning in, and also thank you for listening and watching our selection show a couple days earlier. I am Dave Medina. You can find us on Twitter at DITCOW, on the web, ditcow.com, Apple Podcasts, Dave in the City Out West, Twitch at Davey is Eating a Sandwich if you're bored enough to follow me there. Hope you've enjoyed it. Enjoy, good luck, and we will see you next time.